Hey, everybody. Welcome to the fourth episode of the ACE Performance Training Podcast with special guest Erin Quillen. Hey, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So, Erin and I actually met in October of, I believe, 2020, was it? That was when that
Yeah.
money on, oh man,
Yeah.
at Jeff Glover's Money on the Mat. And I hadn't competed in a while, and it was really cool. Let's just say she she did a really good job of getting that arm real quick, and let's just say it didn't take very long. And I was submitting to the Brutal Viking. But it was a great time, and she's a really awesome person. We're so excited to have her here today and kind of hear about your martial arts journey and kind of what got you to where you are today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yay.
So should I?
Yeah, just get started with, like, I guess back from the beginning. Like, what first got you interested in what was jiu-jitsu the first martial art you ever did, or did you do anything else?
No, yes, it's the first martial art that I actually did consistently and
Okay.
got like fully immersed into. But I had done what was it, Taekwondo for like a day, and I did Kendo, weirdly, which I don't even know if anyone knows what that is, but
is that the one with the staffs?
Yeah, like in Japanese, like sword fighting, sort of.
Yep.
I did that for a hot minute. I had a friend who was super into it, and I was like, all right, let's go. So I've had some other martial arts experiences, but not as intensely as I have been immersed into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, because you're definitely in it. I mean, you're doing like all kinds of stuff. So, like, when did you start? Where did you start? When did you start? And what piqued your interest?
So I started just training in general at the UFC gym in San Dimas, California. And I was there solely to just find something productive to do with my time. And my husband and I decided we were going to go and, join a gym and try to get, our health back on track and things like that. And we were just doing stand-up, like kickboxing, and they have these like boot camp classes that we were doing. But never in our wildest imaginations did we ever think about doing like jiu-jitsu. At least I didn't, until one day my husband says, oh, hey, I've always wanted to do jiu-jitsu. And I was literally like, I've known you for how many years, and I've never heard you say those words in my life. I don't even know what that is. I'm like, I don't know if I'm down. And he like points over to the mats, and he's like, that's jiu-jitsu, what those people are doing on the mats. And I was like, oh, nope, hard stop. I will not. I was
they're all on each other, like, I was sweating.
Like, number one, I don't want people touching me. And number two, I'm like, how are you gonna, do anything good lying on the ground? Like, how is that a workout? Like, stop it. Well, long story short, he was just like, too bad, so sad. I'm gonna do it anyway, whether you want to or not. And so he kind of drugged me with him, and the rest is history, really.
That's really awesome. So when did you first start competing in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so I joined, I started doing jiu-jitsu in like December of 2017-ish.
Okay.
And then I started competing April of 2018.
Sweet.
So just like kind of right away.
Yeah, you were just like, well, let's just do it.
Well, it was funny because I finally stopped hating jiu-jitsu, and I realized like, oh, I actually kind of like this. This is cool. And so I got really involved in it. I was training like every day. And then to try to get more training, I was like harassing my coach at the time. I was like, let's do a comp class. Like, because I'd heard of him doing comp classes before, or he had told me about it or something. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I want to train more, train harder, whatever. And then at the end of the comp class, we ended up having, it was like a 6-week class. I was like, okay, that was cool. Great. And he's just like, yeah, okay, the comp class is done. Now it's time to compete. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, oh, comp class, like competition class. Like, we're supposed to actually compete afterwards. Got it. I kind of missed that memo. So then I was just like, oh, okay, people actually compete in this. I guess, okay, I guess I'll do it too.
That's awesome. And then you're so good at it too.
Thank
I
you.
mean, when you're out there, you're calm, you're collected. I see it. Like you seem very confident, for someone who didn't necessarily like have it in your mindset that you were going to compete in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
So
I definitely, I don't feel always that calm and collected.
well, you definitely do a good job of looking
I feel like
so,
sometimes in my head, it's just like, ah.
I forget. I'm like, what do I do with my hands? What do I do? I just forget what I'm doing. So then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And then,
I literally do that all the time, especially since I've started doing wrestling now. I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Where do I put my hands?
oh man, you're getting me ready for our wrestling class now because we just hired a wrestling coach and I'm getting ready to do that. And I'm probably going to be in that, but I don't know what to do.
It'll be good. It'll be so good.
It's going to be fun. I'm
Yeah.
excited. So you're a purple belt now.
Yeah.
And when did you get promoted? That was, I feel like, in the last year, right?
I got promoted to purple belt December of 2020.
Nice.
So it's been almost a year and a half now.
So it took you about like 3 years, right?
Well,
you started in 2017, right?
Yeah. Oh, from the time that I got my purple belt. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So you were competing, you were on it. So during that journey, what would you say were some of your best memories? And then we'll go into maybe some, like, if you have anything that ever happened that was like, man, that sucked. So we'll start with the good.
Okay.
So, like,
I was like, I have so many bad ones.
I know. So yeah, we'll sandwich it, right? So like, we'll start with the good. So what was like one of your first fondest memories during this journey?
Oh goodness. Honestly, jujitsu is, this is terrible. I can't blank. I can't blank on a good thing, can I? No, honestly, jujitsu is one of those things. It is a very rewarding experience. However, it is also grueling, and I've unfortunately been very injury prone. I think, because I'm also getting a little older, so things like to break all the time.
Yep.
So that's why it's so easy for me to pick out a bunch of bad things, but it is rewarding. And I have, I've experienced a lot of great things just being like on a team. I've been, one of the things that's been really awesome is like I've lost a ton of weight doing this. And so it's just been kind of, this just complete change of who I am from who I was, 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Amazing. Yes.
So that I would say that's probably just like the transformation of like who I am as a person, not even in jiu-jitsu, just as a person in general, has been pretty mind-blowing.
I would definitely say it changes all of us. It's like, each way you're hammering away, right?
Yeah.
So
I hate to be that cliche that's like, oh, jiu-jitsu saved my life. But I mean, in a way, it kind of did. So
I feel like for most of us that stick around, right, and keep doing it, because you have to have a certain amount of grit and stubbornness, right, to just keep on coming back, even through the injuries and everything. But we do it anyway. Yeah. It's worth it, and we just keep going. And totally. So speaking about. And those of us who do it, I feel like a lot of us do come from things that happen that make us gritty, right? And so that's why a lot of us are kind of willing to go through it. So speaking of the grittiness, what have been some of your, like, I guess we'll talk about injuries. I mean, I'm over here with this elbow tape over here with the dislocated elbow. So, we'll just go into that too for you.
I think honestly, just the last 3 months has been one of those kind of tough times in jiu-jitsu, just because I've had so many back-to-back injuries. Going into Gi Worlds last year, I had injured my shoulder and I competed injured. And then after that, I stupidly didn't say, oh, Worlds is over, let me rest a little. I was like, oh, where can I go train over the winter break? And just the brutal Viking being the brutal Viking. And then I ended up herniating my neck, which was quite an experience, because I think with most of my injuries to date, it's been, oh, when I move a certain way or when I frame, like my shoulder hurts. But the neck, it was just constant pain 24/7. There was no escaping it. I was miserable, beyond miserable. And I don't think a lot of people saw that, because I just kind of kept trying to do what I could do.
Yeah.
But then as I started to heal from that and start to come back, then I busted my knee. And so it was just this domino effect of like one thing after the other. But I'm finally I'm on like the upsweep from this, and I can start to see things unfolding in the very near future. So I'm excited.
I know exactly what you mean. I feel like they always come in threes. Like it's like
I was like,
every
they come in
time.
3, I'm done.
Yeah, they come in through. You're like, okay, I'm good for this round now.
Yeah. I was like,
um,
hopefully I won't be injured for a very long time.
right. Yeah, I know right now I got the knee and the elbow, but they'll get better. That's what I always say. But I personally also had a neck injury back like in it was 2017, like early 2018, that my neck got herniated as well. And
Yeah.
so I remember, and I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's definitely no fun.
There's no escape from it. I mean, everything I did, lying down, sitting, walking, talking, like everything hurt.
Looking, eating.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was definitely doing this full body movement. I was like, yeah,
Got good
it
at
was
the robot. So right now you're at Checkmat, right?
Yes.
Which yeah, that's awesome. Is it the one in Burbank or where is it?
So the Checkmat I train at is in Upland. It's called Fight Studio.
Okay.
But I train with Lucas Leachy, and he has 2 gyms. So the one in Upland that I train at, as well as Checkmat La Habra.
Okay, cool. And then I remember like when we met, that's how I met a lot of the cool, like the people I know right now, like you and Dory and Tony and all. How did you meet all of them? Was it through like cross training or?
Yeah, I think, the one thing that's super cool about Checkmat is, it's such a welcoming team of people. So we're always cross training. Like I'll go to Hustle where Dory trains, or, I've gone out to the high desert and train with Mafra, or I'll go to headquarters and train with Leo. So that's one of the coolest parts of being a part of Checkmat.
That's
is
awesome.
Yeah, I just get to train with so many people and experience so many different types of jiu-jitsu. It's like incredible.
And I feel like that's the best, like cross training to me is like, that's where because you learn your teammates game sometimes, right? Like you roll with them all the time. You're like, this guy always turtles, or this guy's going to go for my legs. Right. And not saying that they stay that way, but you kind of start to so it's so good to, I feel like, go to those other places. Right. And kind of like see what's like, you'll suddenly be like, what is that? Right? Like, what are they doing? That's some different stuff. And it's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think, especially being at Fight Studio, we're all about the half guard. Like everyone knows the half guard. They know how to defend it. They know how to do it. And so sometimes you're just thinking like, gosh, I really just suck at jiu-jitsu today. But then you go to another gym and you're like, oh, okay, no, everyone just knows what I do.
That's exactly, yeah. They're like, they already know I'm going to do this thing, and they're ready, and they're like, not today. That's how we always think, right? We're like, not today. You're not going to get me. So, other than all that, I know that you're busy, right? So like you're a busy person. You have a regular job, right? What is it that you do again? I feel like I remember it was something very smart.
I work in finance.
Okay.
So yeah, finance, and oh my goodness, I almost lost my camera there. The stand and I almost dropped it. So yeah, I work in finance and higher education. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, so how was balancing that and training for competition? Because generally speaking, like, competition training is very extensive, time consuming. You're like eating a certain way. You're having, how did you do that?
That's a very great question. So, well, first of all, I'm blessed to have a job where I do have some freedom and flexibility in my time and my schedule. I say some, but it's challenging. It is challenging because while I have that flexibility in my time and schedule, if I go to a comp class like during my lunch hour, that sometimes means that I'm working late at night. It can be 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock at night, and I'm kind of finishing up stuff that I didn't get done during the day. So it's definitely not easy, but I make it work. I just feel like if there's something you really want to do, like you find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. There's really something to that saying.
It's
So
a priority for you.
it is 100%. Jiu-jitsu is definitely a priority. Anyone who knows me, they see the crazy things I do to get my training in. So you just, like I said, you got to do what you got to do. Make it happen.
Exactly. And see, and that's what's so cool about this kind of stuff is like so many people, like I had never heard of jujitsu before either, and like people that never even considered or thought that they would ever want to do something like that, if they just try it, right, they may find they love it or they'll hate it. But if they love it, hopefully they stick around, right? Like for the ride. And that's why it's really cool, like hearing your story too, that you weren't necessarily interested, and now here you are getting golds, winning all these like great, like, worlds and all this. I mean, that's crazy. And I've rolled with you personally. You're very technical and you're very good. Like I started before you, and you're on it. That's awesome.
It's one of those things, like I think when I was a white belt, I would always hear like, oh, it's just mat time. You just got to put in the time, put in the time, put in the time. And I kept hearing that. And so that's what I did. I was just like, well, okay, I'm going to train 6 days a week. I'm going to train as often as I can. Yeah. And I think it's true. And I think that's how I've progressed, like maybe as quickly as I have, is just because I've put in a ton of time. I think even since I was a white belt, I've been training 6 days a week, and not a lot of people have the ability to do that. Whether they want to or not is beside the point.
So it's definitely like a blessing in a way to get to do it, right?
Yes.
And doing it with your spouse, that's really cool. How do you like that? Is he also a purple belt now too?
He is also a purple belt. Yes.
That's so cool, like you guys started and you're climbing that ladder. So how is that? What would you say? Do you feel like that makes your relationship better? And how do you...
yes and no. Yes, no, I think it does. I would say we have a healthy competition. He'd probably say we have an unhealthy competition. Different perspectives on the same issue, but no, I always like to try to, beat him up, but he's very good too in his own right. And I love being able to train with him. I always get kind of sad when he's like, oh, I'm going to go train at this other place tonight. And I'm like, who's going to partner with me? But wait. So no, I do enjoy like being able to kind of walk this path with him, and it's fun too because I compete a bit more than he does. I I have gotten promoted just a little faster than him, and so my coach, I remember when I had already gotten my blue belt. And then when I got my blue belt like randomly in a competition class, so I could sign up for Blue Belt Worlds, which was like a month later. And then we actually had belt promotions maybe a couple months after that. And so when Mauricio got his blue belt, my professor jokingly gave me a stripe, and he's like, just so you can stay ahead of him. And we don't even do stripes at my gym.
It was just like, just a tease.
Just a tease Mauricio. I was like, oh, poor guy.
And he's like, and you didn't even want to do it.
100%. He tells me that all the time. He's like, imagine if I just let you not do jujitsu. Imagine what your life would be like right now. And I'm like, I would probably be sitting watching television and not being productive.
Right. Yeah. It's crazy. I'm just like, yeah, what would I do with that? What would I be doing right now? I wonder that sometimes.
I think back to before jiu-jitsu, and I just remember always thinking and always saying how busy I was. And now I somehow managed to fit in, 15 hours plus of training a week. And I'm like, what did I do with all that time before? I don't know.
And your body is showing it, right? That's the cool thing. Like, that's the thing I'll say about jiu-jitsu, man. I had done Spartan races, half marathons, all kinds of things. Nothing got me sore and tired the way jiu-jitsu did. You know what I mean? Something about going against another human being and that like closeness and the twisting. And oh man, I was like, wow, this is a whole different beast.
It's so true. So true. Jiu-jitsu is not like anything else. I always say that, like, even no matter how much cardio you do or how much training you put in, if you're not rolling, nothing will take the place of rolling.
Nope.
It's different.
Absolutely not. I know every time I've had to like not train, it's been like you're just watching. You're just like, what? I just gotta go out, but I can't. But I wanna train, even though I gotta let this heal or this and that. And it's,
Yes. I know. I am so familiar.
And so once you're healed up, I'm assuming you're going to continue to compete. Do you have a preference these days for what types of tournaments do you like to do? Like, for example, do you prefer gi, no gi? Do you like sub only points? What's kind of your current?
I would say if I had to choose, I like no-gi sub only. Personal preference. I used to love the gi, but I don't know. It's lost its luster to me a little bit. I really love no-gi. I think I love no-gi for the same reasons a lot of people hate it, which is that it's like so hard to control people and it's so hard to submit people. I
Yes.
love it for that. It keeps everything moving, you know?
Yes. There's not very much stalling in
No.
no
And
gi.
I hate that in the gi. I hate when the things are just not exciting and people stall out and, they're just itching to get, advantage, a point or whatever. And it's like,
they're like, you're waiting 2 points. 2 points? No. Okay, now 2 points.
no,
You know,
can I pretend to pass the guard and get an advantage? That'd be great. Okay.
And the one thing I'm worried about is when they do the thing where they move the leg across, like and say that you're reaping or something like that, and then you're just like, what are you talking? Like, yeah, that's so I know
Too much.
Yes, the submission on the shore. Was that the one where you did the Queen Mary tournament? Which one was that one?
I've done a couple subs on the shore. Which one did I do? Oh my gosh, it feels like a million years ago. I think I did one in San Diego. It was like an outdoor event because it was during COVID.
Okay.
And I did another one in San Pedro.
That's what it was.
Yes.
That's what it was.
How
How
was
are those?
My first one was San Pedro.
Are those? I've never done one of those. Are those female only tournaments, or what are those ones? I've never.
I don't think that, God, it's been so long. I don't think that they are anymore, but it started that way, and which was super cool.
That's cool. That's cool. So obviously, like right now there's injuries, but would your goal be to be doing like, ADCC stuff and like, more that kind of stuff now, kind of going for
in true brutal Viking fashion, I am going to be competing ADCC trials in a week.
You're hardcore.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do it.
Hey, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah,
it's in Vegas, right?
It's an experience that comes around once every 2 years. Like I'm going. I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Is the trials are in Vegas as well now, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have tickets to go watch the event in September. And so I'm very excited about that. I wish we could have gone to the trials, but not this year.
I know. I will actually be at ADCC, like the full event in September as well. So
yay!
I'll see you there.
We can like hit up the buffets and stuff. Like that.
Oh gosh.
So bad.
All you do is think about food.
Especially these days when I'm like training that, like, because now with teaching and training, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like, man, especially like I made the mistake yesterday at the end of class. I kind of like was out of time and I was like, okay, I don't want to have them spar today. So what do I do? Okay, let's just teach them like an Asotogari, right? Like not thinking that I was gonna have to like break fall on like my bad arm over and over. And I'm just like, what was I thinking?
Like this was a bad idea.
Yeah. So I'm still getting the hang of it.
That's funny.
And then just the up in training, man. I'll tell you, definitely it's been up in and eating too.
Believe me, I get that.
And we're gonna have to have you come up here soon, and
I gotta make it up the hill one of these days.
Yes, and I have that cold laser too, so I can like put it on those spots and
for sure.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for like sharing all of this with us. And is there anything else like I wanted to ask, do you have any advice for people who have maybe been interested but are nervous, right? Because maybe they're for a bunch of different reasons, you know, what kind of advice would you have?
Yeah, I would say, well, because I was that person. I was that person who was nervous. I didn't want people touching me. I didn't want people sweating on me. Like I was that person. So I would just say, like, if you're looking to do something, productive with your time and, running on a treadmill is just not cutting it. And like, look, I don't know about you, but for me, going to the gym aimlessly, like without a coach, just lifting weights or sitting on a cardio piece of equipment, it's the most boring
So
thing I've ever done in
boring.
my life.
Yes.
So boring. So like I really can say so much about getting into something. It doesn't even have to be jujitsu, but I would love if it was jujitsu where you have a coach and you have people who are surrounding you and supporting you and lifting you up. Like there's something so special about that. And I mean, the results I've seen from doing it is just like, it blows me away. And so I would say just try it. If you could try it with a friend so you can like start it out in, having that close contact with someone you're comfortable with, do
Yeah.
that. Do anything that just gets you on those mats and give it a go, because you'll be surprised like how quickly you'll fall in love with it.
Absolutely. I totally agree with all of that. You know, it's honestly for me, it's the hugest part of my life now, you know.
Yeah.
It's so much fun, and I feel like it made me calmer in real life, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I
It's
get it.
like for me, I always tell people jujitsu, you know, it's like, you know how sometimes in life you get in this situation where you're stressed out because you can't pay your bills or whatever, something happened, and you're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? It's kind of like if you have that guy like have you in high mount and you're getting smashed, you can't breathe, and you're like, oh my God, like I don't want to tap from this, right? And I don't want them to take this, and what am I gonna do? And you just sometimes have to just calm down, right? And take a
Yes.
breath and collect yourself and think, okay, what's free? Right? Where can I go? What can I do? And I
Yeah.
feel like
What can
that,
I control?
yes. And for me, I feel like that translated personally to my life. Right. And I feel like everybody who trains consistently kind of says the same thing,
Yeah.
you know?
No,
So,
it's so true. I think, we spend so much time concerned about the things that we have no control over. And we have anxiety and fear and all of these things. But yeah, if we just take a step back and just think, okay, what are the things that I can actually control? And why am I holding on to all this stuff that is completely outside of, anything I can do anything about? And that's what jujitsu is, because it's all about that you're going to be rolling with certain people and there's going to be very little that you can do. And guess what? That's okay. You figure out something that you can do. And
exactly.
that wasn't a very eloquent way of saying it, but it's just jujitsu forces you to kind of think outside of the box and just, like you said, calm down, center yourself, and figure out what's your next step. So
Exactly.
it's helped me definitely in a lot of different ways, just professionally, personally. You know, it's jujitsu is, you gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. And one thing I was going to ask, are you still doing the carnivore diet? Because you look really good.
Thank you.
Okay. Are
I
you still
appreciate that.
are you still doing it?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, it's funny. I know people who every time I know someone who does it, it's like you guys reverse age. I swear to God, it's like,
It's a thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. What is that? So how has that been? Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I'm
Yeah.
gonna be honest, like I should know more. I'm a personal trainer. Like I'm failing right now about not being on the, knowing the exact like what does that entail? What can you eat? What can't you
Yeah.
eat?
So
Like,
I think it is different for different people. But basically the easiest way to explain it is you basically eat meat products.
okay.
Some people, like, they're eating like basically only steaks, like, or only something that comes like off the cow. There's other people who will eat like dairy and things like that. I think it depends on like the type of carnivore diet you're doing, but basically no fruits, no vegetables, nothing but animal products, which seems extreme and a little crazy. But I came to this decision to do it because it was actually years ago. My dad had read this book called The Plant Paradox, and he was like, "Oh, you should read this book. It's really interesting." Um, And it wasn't until recently that I actually was like, oh, let's read it. He told me to read it like 5 years ago, but whatever. So I read this book, and interestingly, this book was talking all about like the toxins that are in the plants that we eat,
Yep.
and how they're like slowly creating these toxic levels of what, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. They're like, it's
Like
creating this
different metals
toxicity,
and things. Yep.
yeah, in your body that is causing the inflammation, that's causing all these autoimmune disorders and things that we're all experiencing. But funny enough, at the end of the book, this Dr. Gundry is the man who wrote the book. He was interestingly suggesting that you do a plant-based diet, which blew my mind. But
Okay.
he was saying there are particular plants to eat and particular ways of cooking said plants
Yes.
that basically lowers the toxicity levels of them. So,
Yes.
but basically he was very against like eating like raw vegetables. Like raw vegetables are like the worst.
Yep.
So when the bait and switch happened and I was like, okay, I'm like, I don't think I can do a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
Then I was like, well, let me read like the opposing side of this. And so I picked up The Carnivore Diet,
Okay.
which is a book by Sean Baker. And honestly, both books, they had scientific studies backing up the things they were saying, as well as anecdotal like stories. And they both made sense to me. And so I just was like, well, I'm going to just try to do the carnivore diet, because I'm more of a meat eater than,
Yes.
vegetable eater.
I feel you.
Definitely going like vegetarian for me is just a little crazy.
Yeah,
So I was like, well, let me just try it and see what happens. And then like immediately I thought for sure I was going to feel like I was craving a ton of food. And I just thought, I was like, this is going to suck. And day one, I just felt so good and I felt satiated, and eating like fatty meats, it fills you up. Like the amount of food that I like wanted to eat dropped drastically. And I just started shedding pounds too. That was the other thing. Like I wasn't even doing it really to lose weight. I was just doing it because I had so many injuries and so many,
yes.
like joint pains and stuff.
Like strengthen your joints and bones. And
I wanted to try to do something that would like help reduce my inflammation just overall. And then I just started shedding a ton of weight, and I was like, all right, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Do you ever do fish, if you don't mind me asking? Or
yeah, I do. Okay. Basically any animal product. So yes, I'll do fish and steak and pork and eggs.
Do you do cheese, butter, all that kind of stuff?
Definitely do cheese. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. So my friend who did it, he would basically just eat meats, and he did allow certain fruits, but they had to be like heirloom fruit. So like kind of like, it was like he would eat like star fruit or like,
oh, interesting.
Yeah. Or like maybe sometimes melon with it, just if he wanted. But most of the time he just ate like meat with like, he'd sometimes put blue cheese on his steak or, stuff like that. And he also just started looking younger and younger. He said that all of his like digestive issues started clearing up, and so I personally, I'm type O blood. So I find that I do best when I eat more meat personally.
Interesting.
I tried to go vegan, and, I did I pushed through it for a while. I had the initial, issue that people have when they go vegan with the colon and, all that. And I was like, oh, it's okay. It'll pass. But I just started feeling awful. Like I was just feeling personally, like, especially as like an athlete, like at the time, like doing like, I was just like, I tried to take all the supplements I was supposed to take. And so for me, for my personal blood type, my body, it was just like, nah, girl, this isn't happening. and so I switched to eating a lot more like meats. And I find that nowadays when I eat pastas and things like that, I feel like I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel well. Right. And when I throw a bunch of meat on the Traeger, right, and just eat a bunch of that, like I feel good. And so I should probably like be better, right?
Try the carnivore diet. You might be surprised.
I know that like some blood types, maybe it wouldn't work as well. I know everyone's a little different, but like I think for me, my body would probably like that quite a bit,
Yeah, I think when it comes to diet, because I've been on like a weight loss journey for a little while now. I mean, I've lost like 80 pounds since I started jiu-jitsu. But I've tried 10 different diets. And I strongly feel that it doesn't matter what diet you pick. Just pick one. And if you actually jump in and invest yourself into it and do it right, you're going to lose weight. You're going to feel better. Every diet's going to remove processed crap out of your diet. Every diet's going to do what it needs to do. You just have to actually do it.
Yes.
There's no secret to it.
And like, I personally, I used to be heavy, and I always tell my clients that for me, it was like finding something that I could stick to.
Yes. 100%.
And that was the hard thing, because I tried Yoli. I tried literally Herbalife, all those different things, just mainly throughout the years, also back in my days of like testing and trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And I just always tell people, definitely find something that you're going to be able to stick with and that you'll enjoy, right, as well, so that you can, it's not like you're on and off and yo-yoing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like most people who do carnivore, I mean, that's like, look at the Brazilian steak. You got good options. You know what I mean? It's good, especially if you like cook your own good grass-fed meats and things like that. So good job. You're looking great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And it was kind of an unexpected, like, happy accident, I guess. And I just did it on a whim.
Yeah, and hey, sometimes that's how things are supposed to go.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm like nervous now, because I realized that, like, I might end up having, like, if I'm competing in open, I might have to compete against you now, huh? Because I'm a purple belt in your oh my god.
You're like, wait a second.
I just realized, I was like,
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Well, that's good. Fun. See, I love competing. For me, like, for fun, I enjoy it. Like, it's just really time. So I look forward to coming up soon and training, and probably see you all out there sometime too. Because I'm probably gonna try to get back into it in 2 months here.
I'm having a little, like, connectivity issues. I think it's cutting in and out a little bit.
Can you still hear me?
I can hear you. It's just very choppy.
Yeah, it could be my internet connection. Let's see.
Good old Big Bear.
I know. Oh yeah. When you live up in the mountains, it can definitely get weird. So
it can get weird.
Well, I hope that you have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for taking the time to share and chat. So exciting. And I look forward to hanging out soon.
Yeah, I would love for you to come down and train with us at Fight Studio too.
Yeah, we can totally plan coming down there, because we like to take little trips down too,
Yeah, definitely. Let's make it happen.
Sweet. Awesome. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Everyone have a good night. And did you want to quickly shout out your Instagram handle so people could follow your journey?
Yes, you can find me at brutal_Viking_BJJ.
Perfect.
And also just a quick shout out to my sponsors, Yadama, Lean Feast, Rollwear Jiu Jitsu, Nexio, and I just got a new sponsor, which I'm super excited about, with Definition Sports Therapy. So they're going to get me all massaged and feeling good and make sure my body's healing properly. So
that is so awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yay. Thank you to her sponsors. That's awesome. Keeping her field up. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.